Today we're going to be covering Unit 7, Natural Selection. So, evolution by natural selection. The key question is, how does a population's genetic makeup change over time? So Charles Darwin in the Galapagos Islands, he studied finches, and he found that finches' beak shapes varied based on food source. He also studied tortoises, which shell shapes varied based on diet. So evolution he called it descent with modification, which is the change in genetic makeup of a population over time. Key observations of Darwin was heritability. Traits are passed from parents to offsprings. Adaptations, inherited traits that enhance survival and reproduction. Some key concepts are fitness, which is the ability to survive and reproduce, which is measured by reproductive success. Selective pressure, environmental changes that make certain traits advantageous. The result is favorable traits accumulate in a population over generations. Populations evolve, not individuals. Some examples of natural selection, like the peppered moss, in the Industrial Revolution, the suet trees led to dark moss becoming more common. Antibiotic resistance, so bacteria survive drugs, which leads to resistant genes increase in frequency. And pesticide resistance, insects survive sprays, so resistant populations evolve, like DDT. Key point is the overproduction of offspring leads to competition, which leads to differential survival of the fittest. Evolution basics. So evolution means descent with modification. Populations change genetically over time. Fossils support evolutionary history. DNA comparisons show relationships. And multiple scientific fields confirm evolution. Artificial selection. Both lead to evolutionary change. So natural selection, nature selects for survival and reproduction, so like camouflage and disease resistance. In artificial selection, humans select for desired traits. So dog breeds, crop plants, domestic animals, usually for more yield, taste, or appearance. Population genetics and gene control. The genetic makeup of populations. Population is a group of same species in the same area interbreeding. The gene pool is the total genetic diversity of all alleles in a population. So here's how genetic composition changes. 1. Through mutations, which are random DNA changes which leads to new alleles, source of variation. Prokaryotes mutate faster because they have a short generation time, and eukaryotes mutate slower because they have longer generation time. Genetic drift, there's two types, bottleneck and founder effect. So for the bottleneck effect, it's when disaster drastically reduces population size, like the black robin. It reduces genetic diversity. The founder effect is when a small group isolates to form a new population, like the Amish population. It's reduced genetic diversity and unique allele frequencies. Genetic drift is when random changes in allele frequencies, especially strong in small populations. Gene flow and modes of selection. Migration, how selection shapes traits. Gene flow is movement of alleles between populations, which increases diversity. Here are some modes of natural selection. Directional favors one extreme, shifts the mean, is usually homozygous recessive. Stabilizing favors the middle, so it doesn't favor any extreme, it reduces variation. And disruptive favors both extremes, which increases variation and can lead to new species. Here's evidence for evolution. First, we have the fossil record, and it shows organisms from the past different from today. It shows a timeline of change. Second is geographical evidence. Closely located species are more similar, even if environments are similar elsewhere. 3. Geological evidence. Rock layers show older fossils in lower layers. Phylogeny and cladograms showing evolutionary relationships. The node, which is the branch point, speciation event, it shows how common ancestors diverge. The outgroup is the least closely related species, which is used for comparison. Shared derived traits is when traits that indicate common ancestry. So a phylogenetic tree shows time is calibrated with fossils or molecular clocks. The branches indicate when divergence occurs. And for a cladogram, there's no time scale, it only shows relationships. The branches only show order of divergence. Speciation. So this is how new species form. The biological species concept is a population that can interbreed to produce viable and fertile offspring. Reproductive isolation. So there are barriers to interbreeding. Prezygotic, which is before fertilization, or have different mating seasons, behaviors, or calls. Postzygotic, after fertilization, is hybrid species are sterile, like mules. Allopatric versus sympatric speciation. So it's geographic versus same area speciation. For allopatric, it's physical or a geographic barrier, like a mountain or a river. The population is separated, which leads to them evolving independently. For sympatric speciation, there's no physical barrier. Reproductive isolation occurs within the same area. This causes differences in mating preference or ecological niches. The speciation rates, there is gradualism, which is slow, steady accumulation of small changes, and punctuated equilibrium, which is a rapid burst of change followed by long stability. Types of evolution extension, there is divergent, convergent, and extension. So divergent evolution is when a common ancestor leads to a different species which have different traits, like Darwin's finches. Convergent evolution is when different ancestors lead to similar traits, same function, so like bat wings and bird wings. And it has analogous structures. Extinction, mass extinctions, at least 5 major events, so like the dinosaurs. Current concern is that human activity may be causing a 6th mass extinction. Origin of life, Miller-Urey experiment. How did organic molecules form? Here's the timeline. Earth formed 4.6 billion years ago. The life-supporting environment happened 3.9 billion years ago. The earliest fossils we have are 3.5 billion years ago. So the Miller-Urey experiment in the 1950s, the setup was simulated early Earth, water, ammonia, methane, hydrogen, and electric sparks for lightning. The result was it produced amino acids, building blocks of protein. The significance was that organic molecules can form spontaneously under Earth's early conditions. So the Unit 7 summary, here are some key takeaways. 1. Natural selection. Favorable traits accumulate in a population due to differential survival and reproduction. 2. Genetic drift. Random changes like the bottleneck or the founder effect affect small populations strongly. 3. Gene flow. Movement of alleles between populations increases diversity. 4. Evidence for evolution. There's fossil record, homologous structures, DNA comparisons, and embryology. 5. Speciation. New species formed via reproductive isolation, allopatric or sympatric. 6. Miller-Urey. He demonstrated organic molecules can form spontaneously on early Earth. So go to solderbond.netlify.app for 100 MCQ practice questions. Thank you.